On the morning of my wedding day, while I was sitting in a white robe with my hair half curled and my makeup, artist telling me to relax, my phone buzzed. I smiled, expecting some sweet message from my mom. Maybe nerves, maybe encouragement. Instead, I saw one sentence that made my stomach drop straight through the floor. Don't expect anyone to come? That was it. No explanation. No emojis, no follow-up. Just those 4 words sent by my own mother. On what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, my hands started shaking so badly that my phone almost slipped out of my grip. And all I could think was, what does that even mean? Was I wrong for still walking down that aisle after what I found out next? Tell me honestly, because even now, I don't know if I was brave or just stubborn. Let me rewind, because this didn't come out of nowhere, even though it felt like it did. I'm the oldest daughter in my family. Growing up, I was always the responsible one. The one who followed rules, got decent grades, didn't cause trouble. My younger brother was the golden child, and my younger sister was the baby, the one who could do no wrong. I learned very early that love in my family wasn't unconditional. It was transactional. If you did what my parents wanted, especially my mom, you were rewarded with affection. If you didn't, you were frozen out. Silent treatment, passive-aggressive comments, little digs disguised as jokes. I thought that was normal for a long time. I thought that was just how families worked. I met my husband Adam when I was 26. He was kind in a way I wasn't used to. Not performative, not loud, just steady. He listened when I talked. He remembered things I said weeks ago. When I told him about my family dynamic, he didn't say, "That's just how moms are." He said, "That sounds really hard." That alone felt revolutionary. My mom, however, hated him almost immediately, not because he was rude or disrespectful. He wasn't. He always showed up with flowers, offered to help with dishes, asked about her day. She hated him because he didn't need her approval. He didn't bend himself into whatever shape she wanted. And worst of all, he encouraged me not to either. The first big fight happened when Adam and I moved in together before marriage. My mom told me I was throwing my life away, and that no decent man would respect a woman who didn't respect herself. I told her calmly that I disagreed, that I was happy, that Adam treated me well. She didn't speak to me for 3 months after that. No calls, no texts. When my birthday came around, nothing. I cried, but I also stayed put. That was the first time I didn't chase her forgiveness. Eventually, she came back like nothing had happened, and we all pretended those months of silence never existed. When Adam proposed, I said yes before he even finished the sentence. I was over the moon. My mom's reaction was cold. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Later, she pulled me aside and asked, "Are you sure you don't want to wait?" You know, just in case. In case of what, she never clarified. Wedding planning was where things really started to unravel. She had opinions about everything. The venue was too far. The dress was too plain. The guest list was insulting. When I gently reminded her that it was my wedding, she snapped back. A wedding is about family. What she meant was, a wedding was about her. The biggest issue was that Adam and I decided to have a small wedding. About 50 people. Close friends, some extended family, but not everyone. We were paying for it ourselves, and we wanted it intimate. My mom wanted to invite distant relatives I hadn't seen in decades, people who didn't even know Adam's last name. When I said no, she accused me of being selfish, of cutting off my own blood. I remember sitting at my kitchen table, staring at the guest list spreadsheet, feeling like a villain in my own story. A month before the wedding, my mom told me she was done talking about it. She said she would come, but she wouldn't be involved anymore. I thought that was a win. Things were quiet after that. Too quiet maybe, but I was busy. Work, fittings, last-minute details. Adam kept asking if I was okay, and I kept saying yes, even though my chest felt tight every time I thought about my family. Then came the wedding morning, the text, "Don't expect anyone to come?" I reread it over and over, trying to understand. Anyone who? My parents? My siblings? My entire side of the family? I immediately called her. Straight to voicemail. I texted back asking what she meant. No response. My sister didn't answer either. My brother's phone went straight to voicemail. Panic started creeping in, slow and then all at once. My bridesmaids noticed something was wrong. I told them, and one of them immediately said, "That's messed up." Another said, "Maybe she's just being dramatic." I wanted to believe that. About 20 minutes later, while I was still trying to call everyone, my cousin texted me. Just one line, "I'm so sorry." That's when I knew. Something had happened. My hands were numb as I opened Instagram, and that's when I saw it. A group photo. My mom, my dad, my siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, all dressed up, all smiling, standing together in front of my parents' house. The caption read, "Family first." Some people forget that. My mom had posted it publicly. I felt like I couldn't breathe. They weren't coming. Not just my parents, not just a couple of people. My entire family had coordinated a boycott of my wedding, on purpose, on the same day, at the same time, and my mom had made sure I found out through a group photo, like it was some kind of sick announcement. I slid down onto the floor, my dress pooling around me, and I sobbed so hard I thought I might throw up. All I could think was, how could she do this to me? On my wedding day, Adam came into the room and saw me on the floor, phone in my hand. He knelt down, immediately, and asked what happened. I showed him the text. The photo, his jaw tightened, but his voice stayed calm. He said, "Do you want to stop?" That question broke me even more, because he wasn't telling me what to do. He was giving me a choice. For the first time that morning, I looked up and really saw him, the man I was about to marry, the man who had never once made me feel small. This is the point where I want you to pause for a second, because this was the exact moment everything could have gone in a different direction. So that was the situation I was in. My entire family had chosen to publicly humiliate me and skip my wedding to prove a point. I was already dressed. Guests were arriving. Music was cued. Before I tell you what I did next, I want you to honestly think about it and comment below. If you were in my shoes, would you have canceled the wedding? Would you have chased after your family? Or would you have walked down that aisle anyway? I took a deep breath and told Adam I needed a minute. I went into the bathroom alone and looked at myself in the mirror. I looked beautiful, but I also looked scared. I thought about every time my mom had pulled love away from me as punishment, every holiday ruined, every milestone overshadowed by her disappointment, and I realized something that hit me like a slap. If I canceled my wedding to appease her, it would never stop. There would always be another demand, another test, another punishment. So I stood up, wiped my face, and walked back out. I told Adam, "I'm still marrying you." He hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe, and he whispered, "I'm so proud of you." The ceremony went on. I won't lie and say it was perfect. When I walked down the aisle and saw the empty seats where my family should have been, it hurt. It hurt so much it felt physical. But I also saw something else. Friends who had traveled hours to be there. Adam's parents, crying with happiness. People who chose us. When we said our vows, my voice shook, but I meant every word. The reception was bittersweet. People kept asking where my family was, and I just said, they couldn't make it. Some guests clearly knew more than they were saying, but no one pushed. Adam's mom pulled me aside and said, "You are family now. Don't forget that." I cried again, but this time it was a different kind of cry, one with relief in it. The fallout came fast. The next day, my mom finally texted me. She said she hoped I was happy with my choices and that I had made it very clear where family stands in my life. I didn't respond. For the first time ever, I didn't explain myself. A week later, my aunt called and told me my mom was telling everyone that I had disrespected her and that the boycott was meant to teach me a lesson. Hearing it out loud made something inside me snap into place. I realized this was never about my wedding. It was about control. I ended up blocking my mom on social media, then my sister, then my brother. It wasn't done out of anger. It was done out of self-preservation. Months went by. Holidays came and went. It was quiet, uncomfortably quiet at first, and then peaceful. Adam and I built our own traditions. We laughed more. I slept better. The absence of constant tension felt like learning how to breathe properly for the first time. About a year later, my mom showed up at my door unannounced. She said she wanted to move past everything. She never apologized. Not for the text, not for the photo, not for missing my wedding. She said she was hurt too. That's when I told her something I'd never said before. I told her that if she wanted a relationship with me, it would be on new terms. No manipulation, no punishment, no public shaming. She stared at me like I was speaking another language. She left shortly after. We haven't spoken since. Do I still feel sad sometimes? Yes, of course I do. She's my mother. That doesn't disappear. But I also feel something else now. Pride. I chose myself. I chose my partner. I chose a future where love isn't conditional on obedience. When I look back at my wedding photos, I don't see empty chairs anymore. I see the moment my life truly became my own. So that's my story. That's what happened when my mom texted me. Don't expect anyone to come on my wedding day. And I saw that group photo. If you think I did the right thing, like this video, if you think you would have handled it differently, tell me how in the comments. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories like this, because unfortunately I have a few. And share your final thoughts on this whole mess below. I'll see you all in the next story.